Country music fans everywhere are holding their breath. Just when it seemed like Blake Shelton was on top of the world, slimmer, stronger, and more determined than ever, everything took a heartbreaking turn. In a shocking twist that's left fans across the globe stunned, the 49-year-old country legend has reportedly been rushed to the hospital after suffering a severe health scare tied to his intense new fitness routine. Sources close to Blake say the warning signs were there: long hours in the sun, skipped meals, and a relentless workout schedule that pushed his body beyond its limit. But no one expected things to spiral this quickly. And now, after days of silence, doctors have finally broken their silence, delivering an update that no fan ever wanted to hear. What really happened to Blake Shelton? How did his journey towards self-improvement lead to a medical emergency that's shaken the country music world to its core? Let's break down the full story. From the transformation that inspired millions to the terrifying moment that changed everything. Because this time, even the strongest voice in country music couldn't fight what came next. Just a few months ago, Blake Shelton's transformation was the talk of the entire country music world. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. The man known for his easygoing charm, signature smile, and relatable everyman image had suddenly slimmed down dramatically. His face looked sharper, his frame noticeably leaner, and his energy seemed to have shifted into overdrive. From the outside, it looked like a success story. Blake was working out daily, watching his diet closely, and showing a level of discipline that even his closest friends said they hadn't seen in years. He was glowing on camera, laughing more, and even hinting that he felt better than ever. But behind those smiles and impressive gym photos, there was another side to the story, one that no one outside his inner circle saw coming. According to insiders, Blake had become obsessed with change. After years of juggling music tours, TV commitments, and personal pressures, he reportedly decided it was time to take back control of his health, no matter the cost. He dove into strict meal plans, cutting out sugar, carbs, and even drastically limiting his calorie intake. His new routine included early morning runs, long hours of outdoor workouts, and sometimes multiple gym sessions in a single day. Fans cheered him on, calling him inspirational and disciplined. Social media buzzed with comments like, "Blake looks 20 years younger." And that's what dedication looks like. But what fans didn't realize was that behind that dedication, Blake was pushing his body past the point of safety. One source close to the singer revealed, he wasn't just working out, he was punishing himself. If he missed a session, he'd make it up by training twice as hard the next day. It wasn't about fitness anymore. It became personal. Friends reportedly started to notice the warning signs: dry skin, fatigue, dark circles under his eyes. But Blake brushed it off, saying he was fine. He was determined to prove that he could do it on his own, without any shortcuts or excuses. And for a while it seemed like it was working. Until it wasn't. Because as the weeks went on, something began to change, not just in how he looked, but in how he felt. The man who once joked about pizza on The Voice was now skipping meals. The one who used to sip iced tea on tour buses had cut down on his water intake to avoid water weight. It was only a matter of time before his body began to push back, and when it finally did, the consequences were far worse than anyone expected. But that wasn't the end of it, because what happened next would leave even his closest friends in disbelief. Behind every inspiring transformation, there's often a struggle the public never sees, and for Blake Shelton, that struggle was quietly growing into something dangerous. According to people close to the singer, the pressure wasn't just about looking good, it was about proving something. Blake had spent decades in the spotlight, facing constant public scrutiny about his appearance. Every photo, every headline, every fan comment about his weight had added up over the years. And when he finally decided to take control, he went all in, but without realizing just how far was too far. Sources say Blake's new lifestyle started with positive intentions: healthy eating, moderate exercise, and structured rest. But soon it turned into a cycle of exhaustion and self-imposed discipline that left little room for recovery. He reportedly began skipping meals, convinced that cutting calories faster would accelerate his results. He started reducing water intake, believing it would help his body look more defined. a decision that would later prove disastrous. And to make things worse, he was often training outdoors under intense sunlight, even during the hottest hours of the day. One insider shared, he'd say things like, "If I'm not sweating, I'm not working hard enough." He wasn't just chasing fitness anymore, he was chasing control. As the weeks went on, those closest to him noticed signs that something wasn't right. His usually vibrant energy seemed drained. His skin became dry and irritated, and his lips were often chapped. But whenever friends tried to intervene, Blake would wave them off, insisting he was fine. Publicly, he smiled through interviews, made jokes on social media, and continued appearing strong. But behind the scenes, his body was begging for rest. Doctors later explained that chronic dehydration and prolonged exposure to sunlight can severely damage the skin, weaken the immune system, and strain vital organs. But at the time, Blake didn't realize how much danger he was in, and then came the rehearsals. Preparing for new performances, interviews, and upcoming appearances, Blake reportedly began pushing his voice harder than ever. His schedule was tight, and rest wasn't an option. The combination of dry air, exhaustion, and lack of hydration began to affect his vocal cords, the very instrument that defined his career. A vocal specialist later told the press, "You can't run on empty and expect your voice to survive. It's not just about singing, it's about breathing, hydration, and stamina." And Blake's body was running out of all three. By this point, even his wife, Gwen Stefani, had reportedly grown worried. Friends say she encouraged him to slow down, to rest, to drink more water. But Blake's determination blinded him to the warning signs, and then the inevitable happened. During one of his usual outdoor workout sessions, under the burning sun and on minimal hydration, Blake began to feel dizzy. What started as a routine run quickly turned into a terrifying emergency. He stumbled, collapsed, and was unable to stand back up. Witnesses immediately called for help, and within minutes paramedics arrived on the scene. What they discovered when they checked his vitals sent shockwaves through everyone present, because Blake Shelton's body had finally reached its limit. It was supposed to be just another afternoon workout, a routine jog under the Oklahoma sun, something Blake Shelton had done dozens of times before. But this time it was different. Witnesses say the country star appeared unusually pale and sluggish as he jogged along the familiar trail near his ranch. The temperature that day soared well above 90 degrees, and Blake, determined to push through, had been running for nearly an hour without taking a proper water break. At first, those nearby thought he was simply slowing down, but then things took a terrifying turn. Blake reportedly stopped mid-stride, clutching his knees, gasping for breath. Moments later, he collapsed to the ground, unresponsive and visibly disoriented. His skin, once sun-kissed and healthy, appeared burned and blotchy, showing clear signs of extreme dehydration and heat exposure. An eyewitness told reporters, "He just went down. One minute he was jogging and the next he couldn't even speak." You could see he was in real trouble. Paramedics were called immediately. When emergency responders arrived, they found Blake's pulse dangerously low and his body temperature alarmingly high. According to early medical assessments, he was suffering from severe dehydration, heat exhaustion, and sun damage that had already begun affecting his skin and muscles. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors worked quickly to stabilize him. IV fluids were administered immediately to rehydrate his system, and cooling measures were used to bring his body temperature down. But as doctors examined him further, they uncovered something far more serious: the impact of months of overexertion and neglect. One insider shared, "They said his body was screaming for help. It wasn't just that one workout, it was everything leading up to it." His system had been under stress for weeks. The most alarming discovery came when doctors began checking his vocal cords. They found signs of significant strain and inflammation, caused by a mix of exhaustion, dryness, and overuse. For a man whose voice was not only his passion, but his livelihood, the news hit hard. Medical experts confirmed that Blake would need to avoid singing, shouting, or performing until his throat healed completely, and that recovery could take weeks or even months. For Blake Shelton, one of the most powerful and beloved voices in country music, this diagnosis wasn't just a medical setback. It was an emotional blow. Doctors described his condition as a combination of heat-induced collapse and physical burnout. They said that while his vital signs were stabilizing, the internal strain on his body could not be ignored. The incident sent immediate shockwaves through the country music world. Fans flooded social media, desperate for updates. Messages poured in from fellow artists, friends, and even celebrities outside the music industry, all praying for Blake's recovery. One fan's post went viral within hours. "He's given his voice to us for years. Now it's our turn to give him our prayers." Another wrote, "We don't care about the weight, Blake. We just want you healthy again." Even as Blake remained under close medical observation, fans gathered outside hospitals, some holding signs, others simply waiting for good news. The outpouring of love was overwhelming, proof of how deeply this man had touched people around the world. But behind the scenes, doctors were cautious. They knew that this wasn't just about one moment of collapse. It was about a body that had been pushed too far for too long. Blake's inner circle was warned. He needed rest, hydration, and a complete halt to any strenuous activity. Still, there was one thing no one could predict: how long it would take for his iconic voice to fully recover, and that uncertainty left everyone, fans, friends, and family, holding their breath. Because what came next would not only test Blake's strength but also redefine his future. When the medical team finally released their initial report, the results were far more serious than anyone anticipated. Blake Shelton's collapse hadn't been a random episode. It was the direct result of months of accumulated strain, dehydration, and sun exposure. His body had been quietly breaking down, and by the time he hit the ground that afternoon, it was already in crisis mode. Doctors revealed that Blake was suffering from extreme dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and acute skin damage caused by prolonged time in the sun without proper hydration or protection. But there was one finding that stunned everyone, even his closest friends. Blake's vocal cords, the heart of his music and career, showed signs of serious inflammation and stress. Specialists warned that without complete rest, the damage could worsen, possibly impacting his ability to sing in the future. According to a medical insider, his body was showing every warning sign, but the biggest concern was his voice. It's not something you can just push through. He needs rest, therapy, and time. For a man whose voice helped define a generation of country music, the diagnosis was devastating. Doctors ordered an immediate halt to all performances, rehearsals, and public appearances. They advised Blake to stay hydrated, avoid talking for long periods, and follow a strict recovery plan that included vocal therapy and complete rest. One doctor involved in his care reportedly told him, "You've been running on empty for too long. Your body isn't a machine, Blake. It's telling you to stop." That statement hit hard, because Blake Shelton has always been known for his drive, whether it's on stage, in the studio, or as a coach on The Voice. For years, he balanced constant touring, television commitments, and recording sessions, rarely taking time off. Now for the first time he was being forced to slow down, and it wasn't just physical pain he was dealing with, it was emotional. Sources close to the singer revealed that Blake was deeply shaken by the idea that his own habits might have jeopardized his voice. He reportedly told friends, "I just wanted to feel better. I didn't think it would go this far." Those who know him say that moment marked a turning point, when Blake realized his pursuit of perfection had pushed him past the line of safety. Meanwhile, medical teams began monitoring his condition around the clock. They warned that dehydration at the level Blake experienced can have lasting effects, not only on skin and organs, but also on energy levels and recovery time. The damage to his skin was another concern. Doctors described his condition as burnout-related skin trauma, noting that the combination of direct sunlight and lack of proper hydration had caused severe dryness and irritation, requiring weeks of healing. As the news spread, Blake's inner circle began to close ranks, protecting his privacy while ensuring he had the best care possible. Gwen Stefani reportedly stayed by his side, helping him stay calm and reminding him that health came before fame. For fans, the situation felt surreal. One day they were celebrating Blake's impressive transformation. The next, they were reading reports of hospitalization and strained vocal cords. But even through the worry and uncertainty, there was hope. Doctors confirmed that Blake's condition was serious but treatable, as long as he followed their instructions. Full recovery, however, would take time. They made one thing clear: any attempt to return to performing too soon could undo all the progress. And for a man whose life revolves around his music, that was a painful truth to face. Yet in the middle of all this, Blake's determination began to shine through once again. This time, not to lose weight or prove himself, but to heal. The moment the news broke, it was like the entire country music world came to a halt. Blake Shelton, one of the genre's most beloved voices, the man who brought both grit and charm to Nashville's modern era, was in the hospital. And fans couldn't believe it. Within minutes, social media exploded. Hashtags like Pray for Blake and Get Well Shelton began trending across platforms. Messages of love and support poured in from every corner of the internet. From longtime fans to fellow country legends, one fan tweeted, "We don't care about the weight. Blake, we just want you healthy and happy again." Another wrote, "He's given his heart and voice to us for decades. Now it's our turn to lift him up." Country artists who'd worked with Blake over the years, from MirandaLambert to Luke Bryan, and even his old The Voice co-stars, reportedly reached out privately, offering words of encouragement and prayers. Even fans who had once criticized his lifestyle changes now stood firmly behind him. It was as if the country community collectively realized how much Blake Shelton meant to them, not just as an artist, but as a symbol of authenticity and perseverance. Music journalists began reflecting on his impact, calling him the voice that carried modern country into a new era. Radio hosts dedicated entire segments to playing his classic hits, God's Country, Austin, Honeybee, turning the airwaves into a tribute to his legacy. And while Blake himself remained silent, under doctors' orders to rest and recover, his team released a brief update confirming what fans most wanted to hear. He was stable and under professional care. That short message brought a wave of relief, but it also raised deeper questions. Had the pressures of fame, public image, and self-improvement finally taken too great a toll? Was Blake's transformation a reflection of deeper personal struggles? While no one close to him has confirmed those details, insiders say the entire ordeal has forced him to reflect, not just on his health, but on what really matters most. As one close friend told a country music outlet, he's realizing now that success isn't about how you look. It's about being alive to enjoy it. Meanwhile, fans began organizing online campaigns, encouraging self-care and body positivity, using Blake's story as a reminder that even our heroes are human. Some posted videos singing his songs, others shared heartfelt messages. "Take all the time you need, Blake, we'll be here waiting." Even outside the music industry, public figures chimed in. One motivational speaker wrote, "Blake Shelton's story is a lesson in balance. You can change your life, but not at the cost of your health." The support was overwhelming, and it reached Blake directly. According to those close to him, he was deeply moved by the love he received. Friends said he spent hours reading messages from fans, quietly tearing up and expressing gratitude. One insider shared that he said softly, "I didn't realize how many people cared this much. In a world where fame often feels fleeting, this outpouring of affection reminded everyone that Blake Shelton isn't just a celebrity. He's a part of people's lives, their memories and their music." But even as fans celebrated his recovery progress, doctors continued to emphasize caution. His road back to full strength would be slow, steady and carefully monitored. Still, one thing became clear: Blake wouldn't have to walk that road alone because the entire country music family was walking it with him. After days of silence and speculation, Blake Shelton finally broke his silence, and his message left fans in tears. Speaking softly from his hospital room, surrounded by family and a small team of doctors, Blake reportedly told a close friend, "I just want to get back to the fans, but I know I've got to heal first." It was a simple sentence, but it said everything. The drive, the humility, and the love for his fans that made him who he is, all still there, even as his body fought to recover. According to medical insiders, Blake's condition has stabilized, but doctors remain firm. No performing, no rehearsals, and no extended speaking for several weeks. His care plan now includes a strict hydration schedule, balanced nutrition, and daily vocal therapy under the supervision of specialists. One doctor described his progress as, encouraging but delicate, warning that recovery isn't just physical, it's mental too. After months of overworking himself, Blake must now learn to rest, something that doesn't come easily for a man used to constant motion. But despite the challenges, there's hope. Insiders say Blake has begun to see his health scare as a wake-up call, not a setback but a second chance. Friends say he's already talking about making permanent changes to his lifestyle, prioritizing rest, setting boundaries, and embracing moderation. He's even reportedly taken up gentle walks and guided meditation, finding calm in stillness for the first time in years. Gwen Stefani, who's been by his side through every step, has been described as his anchor, reminding him that slowing down isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Sources say she's been instrumental in helping him stay positive, often telling him, "You've got nothing to prove anymore. Just be healthy. That's what matters." Meanwhile, fans continue to flood his social media pages with messages of encouragement. Under every old post, new comments appear daily. Take your time. Blake will wait. Your health means more than any concert. We're sending love and prayers. You've got this. It's clear that his community hasn't just stood by him. They've lifted him up. And as Blake slowly rebuilds his strength, doctors say his recovery is moving in the right direction. They expect a full recovery if he stays committed to rest, hydration, and therapy. A close family friend revealed he's finally realizing he doesn't have to be Blake Shelton the performer all the time. Right now, he just needs to be Blake Shelton the person. Those words have resonated deeply with fans, many of whom see his story as more than just celebrity news. It's a reminder that no matter how strong or successful someone may appear, no one is invincible, because behind the spotlight and the stage lights is a man, one who gave his voice to the world and now just needs time to heal it. And when Blake Shelton does return, fans believe it won't just be a comeback, it'll be a rebirth, because this time he's not chasing perfection, he's chasing peace. Blake Shelton's story isn't just another headline about celebrity health, it's a reality check, a human moment behind the fame, the lights, and the applause. For years, Blake's voice has been the soundtrack to love stories, heartbreaks, and summer nights across America. From God's Country to Austin, he's poured every ounce of emotion into his songs, giving fans a piece of himself every single time he took the stage. But this time, the message isn't coming from a lyric, it's coming from his life. Because behind the charm, the humor, and the cowboy hat, there's a man who pushed himself too far trying to be better. And in that pursuit, he learned a truth that too many people forget. Even heroes need rest. Doctors now believe that if Blake had ignored the warning signs any longer, the consequences could have been far worse. His story has since sparked conversations across the entertainment world about self-care, hydration, and the dangerous obsession with transformation that so many stars and fans quite quietly face. But out of this frightening chapter comes something powerful, perspective. Those closest to Blake say this experience has changed him. He's reportedly rethinking his touring schedule, focusing more on recovery, and even speaking privately about encouraging other artists to listen to their bodies before it's too late. And for fans, it's a reminder that sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't to keep pushing, it's to stop. Blake Shelton's voice may be silent for now, but make no mistake, it's far from gone. This pause, as painful as it might be, could be exactly what he needs to come back stronger, more centered, and more grateful than ever before. Because healing isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new one. And when that familiar voice returns to the mic, the one that's carried love, laughter, and loss through the heart of country music, fans will hear not just a singer, but a survivor. Blake Shelton has given his heart to the world through his songs. Now it's time the world gives something back, and patience, love, and prayers for a full recovery. Because one thing's for sure, when Blake Shelton returns, he won't just be the voice of country music. He'll be the reminder that even legends need to rest, recharge, and rise again.